What are the top 8 things for sellers to know about what's happening with the Northern Virginia real estate market? Here's the rundown. Hey everyone, I'm Darren Robertson, realtor in Northern Virginia with Robertson Residential Group and Samson Properties. Thank you so much for joining us today. If this is your first time here, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We post new videos every week and you don't want to miss anything. What are the top 8 things for sellers to know about what's happening with the Northern Virginia real estate market? Number 1, the market is definitely shifting right now. To give you some background about what's happened the past couple years, after the pandemic started in 2020, for the first 2 or 3 months, things were really uncertain with the Northern Virginia real estate market, as it was across the country. But after that first 2 to 3 month period, the market started taking off like a rocket, and it never stopped until recently here. But with the lower interest rates that were happening in 2020, tons of buyers jumped in the market, and we saw a seller's market in Northern Virginia like pretty much no other. Not only did we see a huge number of bidding wars that happened, we saw buyers literally waiving every single contingency and every single offer situation, properties selling for $50,000 or $100,000 more over list price. It was an amazing time for sellers. But due to the rising interest rates, the market has started to shift significantly. It puts this in perspective for sellers in terms of what buyers are experiencing right now and in terms of why there's such a shift happening right now. Is if we look at an example regarding a mortgage amount. So if a buyer gets a $500,000 mortgage, a few months ago when rates were still really low, buyers would be looking at about a $2,000 a month payment from that $500,000 mortgage. Now, with the rates having gone up significantly in the past few months, a buyer is looking at about a $2,900 a month payment for that mortgage amount. So that's a big deal to most buyers. Now, keep in mind, it hasn't become a buyer's market overnight or anything. Technically, with the inventory levels the way they are right now, even though inventory has ticked up in a lot of areas, they're still fairly low. So technically on paper, it's still a seller's market right now, but it's just a much less crazy seller's market than it was a few months ago. Number 2, as a seller, you can't get away with overpricing like you did a few months ago. A seller could get away with overpricing their single-family home or townhome. They could look at the recent comparable sales, price above the recent comparable sales, and still know that they would likely have a bidding war in their hands, just due to the supply and demand. Now, the market is not like that, and it's very important to price well and to price according to the shift that's happening. One reason you're seeing so many price reductions right now is not because the bottom of the market's falling out or anything like that. It's just that many sellers are pricing according to what they thought was this never-ending stair-step effect that has been happening in the market from 2020 into 2022. And they're pricing according to these recent comparable sales that closed in May, June, and everything. And so what's going on is we're not in that market anymore. And so sellers are then having to reduce their prices to get out ahead of the reduced buyer demand. So again, the market is not becoming a buyer's market. The market's just normalizing right now. Number 3, property condition is more important in today's market than it was a few months ago. So during the boom from 2020 into early 2022, a lot of sellers weren't bothering to update their properties because they were able to still sell an outdated property or a fixer-upper and still do very, very well and still often have a bidding war in their hands. With the shift that's happening right now, yes, properties that are overpriced are staying on the market longer, but properties that are also more vulnerable to this current market are places that need work, places that are outdated, or places that are fixer-uppers. It's just very important to price any property that's not completely move-in ready, to price it very well. Bottom line, the properties that are selling the fastest and for the most money in this current market are move-in ready, remodeled properties that look amazing. We're still seeing a good number of bidding wars for these types of properties in this market. Number 4, staging is more important than ever. So a lot of people don't realize the value of a staged home. Let me put it this way. Many buyers, they just don't have the imagination to really envision the space when they walk into a home. It helps to have a staged home to help them visualize where they would put their furniture, how they would live in the space. It helps buyers to get emotionally invested in the property when you have staging. Staging doesn't necessarily have to mean like a fully staged home. It can be accent pieces and different things in different rooms, and then just maybe have a couple, 2 or 3 main living spaces that are staged pretty well. So just keep in mind, every little bit helps in this current market in terms of helping your property stand apart from the competition. Tip number 5, offering a really good buyer agent commission is more important in this shifting market. So, during the boom from 2020 leading into early 2022, we started to see reduced buyer agent commissions. So a very common buyer agent commission right now is somewhere around 2.5 to 2.75%. We were seeing some sellers during the boom from 2020 into 2022 who were starting to offer very low buyer agent commissions in the MLS, 2%, 2.25. Sometimes they were getting away with it because there was such a stark contrast between the number of buyers and properties available. However, in this shifting market right now, it's very important to offer a good buyer's agent commission to set your property apart from the competition. Number 6, it's important to work with an agent who knows how to market effectively. In this shifting market, it's important to get as many eyes as possible on your property in order to stand out from the competition. So it's important to work with an agent who knows how to market effectively online, knows how to navigate pay-per-click ads, social media ads, organic traffic, search engines, blogging, everything that goes into internet marketing. Number 7, there are still bidding wars out there. So it's still very possible for your home to sell in a bidding war. However, the bidding wars that are happening right now, they look different from the way that they were happening in 2020 leading into 2022. You still are seeing some waived contingencies, but just not as many as we were back in 2020 leading into 2022. Sometimes a bidding war that might happen in today's market might very well just be mainly changes to the sales price that's being offered, and maybe waiving a contingency or two, but not everything. Maybe modifying some contingencies, but not waiving them. So we're still seeing bidding wars, but the bidding wars are different. And the bidding wars that are happening are most often happening surrounding properties that are completely move-in ready and remodeled, look really nice, that a lot of buyers are attracted to. Number 8, keep in mind that most buyers out there will still be able to have most or all of their contingencies in an offer situation. So it's surprising to a lot of sellers right now that they might have to accept a contract that has, for instance, a regular home inspection contingency that's negotiable, where a buyer can negotiate for repairs or for monetary credits after the home inspection. That wasn't happening at all during the boom. Keep in mind, sellers are still getting great prices on their properties. It's just the dynamic has shifted some, and buyers do have more power than they had, as recently as just a few months ago. So now you know the top 8 things for a seller to know about what's happening with the Northern Virginia real estate market. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave a comment down below and let me know if you're buying your first home. I'd love to hear from you. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We post new videos every week and you don't want to miss anything.